Hey guys, and welcome to more Post to Post. This is our second channel. Our main channel is Post to Post. I have to do this little intro every time we post a video on this channel because our main channel is Post to Post, where we talk about all things hockey. And this channel is just we talk about whatever we want to talk about. There's vlogs, there's movie reviews like this. We talk about other sports, football, baseball, basketball, all that good stuff. But today we're here to do a movie review, and we're going to talk about Blade Runner because this is a movie I've been excited for all year. And maybe you've been excited for since, 1982, because
yeah, it really
there probably could have been a sequel much earlier than 2017.
Yeah, 35 years.
It's crazy.
That's a long time.
But it's here, so I'm just going to give a brief introduction of what the movie is for everyone at home. And there will be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, and maybe if you don't care, keep watching, obviously, but if you don't want to be spoiled, then please stop watching now and come back and watch it after you've seen it, because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. So it's just the miniature rundown here is a young Blade Runner's discovery of a long buried secret leads him to track down a former Blade Runner, Rick Deckard, who's been missing for 30 years. So for anyone who doesn't know, there was an original Blade Runner movie, which I just previously mentioned, in 1982. It was a huge movie back in the day. I mean, I wasn't born yet, but I know just from reading and stories that it was a big movie. And they decided to bring it back. And I had not seen the original in a very long time, so we watched it. We said it's important for us to go see or to watch the original before we go see this one.
And I'm really glad we did. It wasn't absolutely necessary, but it certainly placed the new movie in a bit more context.
Yeah, it helped a lot.
Yeah.
But there were parts where it didn't matter at all, but there was just like little hints of throwbacks to the old movie where it's like, okay, yeah, I got you.
Now, when Blade Runner first came out, I was newly married, working in a different job altogether, had a different life, big into science fiction. I wasn't a Philip K. Dick fan for the most part, and he wrote some books and other works and stories that were the bases for, the main parts of the theory behind this movie.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a big Philip K. Dick fan, but I really loved the movie at the time. And I had not seen it since. So I saw it in the theater in 1982 when it came out, and I didn't see it after that. So when we watched it the other day was the first time I'd seen that movie in 35 years.
That's crazy.
And it's like I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
I had some vague recollections, but it was all like watching a whole new movie, and I honestly forgot how it ended.
Well, that's good. That's always good. Before we go any further, I will throw out this disclaimer. We are not professional movie reviewers. We don't think we are professional movie reviewers, and we're not trying to be professional movie reviewers. We just like movies, and we like talking about what we like talking about, and today that's Blade Runner. So I'm just going to give some facts about the movie just up front here. So the runtime was 2 hours and 44 minutes. Did you feel like it was that long?
I did, probably because it started about 15 minutes late, because the stated start time was 2:45. It actually started at exactly 3 after watching endless advertisements.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous.
And trailers. If you're going to make me sit through those many advertisements, then let me in for free.
Yeah.
I'm paying $10.99 to get into the damn movie, and I have to sit there and watch ads like I'm at home on TV.
Yeah, or start the movie on the actual time it says on the ticket, and not 15 minutes. Don't make us watch 15 minutes of extra ads and trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
They've really gone overboard with that. So
Absolutely.
just generally, I'm dissatisfied with that, but that's not Blade Runner's
fault.
No,
it's not Blade Runner's fault at all. It's Cineplex's fault.
Yeah.
The budget was $189 million. I thought it might be a little bit more than that. So the producer was Ridley Scott. He produced the original movie back in 1982, and he also produced this one. And the director was Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve? Yeah, Denis Villeneuve.
He's a French guy.
Quebec guy.
Yeah.
He's Canadian, actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He speaks French.
He's French Canadian.
It's a French name, yeah.
Yeah. He also did Arrival a couple of years ago with the alien, landing.
Yeah. Which
I really liked, and he, got some accolades for that.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
His work shows in this one too.
It was very well done.
Massive.
And we'll get into that in detail here in a little bit. But before we do you want to know what his next movie is going to be? He's writing it right now.
No,
it's another sci-fi. It's another bring back.
I want to know, so go ahead.
Dune.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I was a big Frank Herbert fan. I did read Dune when the books were out in the 70s, so I might be into that.
He's in the process of writing it right now.
Really?
But it's going to be a big project. It's going to be similar, I guess, to the world of Blade Runner, because the world in Blade Runner is very unique. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about a lot, because I'm just going to throw out Transformers. You you're almost forced to appreciate the world in Transformers because there's so much explosions and there's I don't know, there's movement everywhere. It's just a visually like busy. In Blade Runner, it was so massive, but it didn't force you to appreciate it. You had to appreciate it for what it was. Like there was a scene where they were in just a big junkyard and it was just garbage everywhere. But it was like beautiful because it was just so vast. It's a really cool world.
Yeah, it was very, very well done. And one of the interesting things I thought was, when you look at the 1982 movie, they were imagining 2018.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2017, watching back to the 1982 movie, and we saw what the movie makers in 1982, which included Ridley Scott back then, what they thought 2018 might look like. And of course, thank God, it's nothing like they thought. But now here we are in 2017, trying to imagine 2049.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same kind of thing, but I think they've backed off a bit on the gloominess of it.
Absolutely.
At least this movie had a little bit more daylight in it.
The original movie is seriously, it's laughable in certain parts. we had made some jokes while watching it, but it's still worth the watch for sure because it's a good adventure because it's your first introduction to the world of Blade Runner. So the movie in 1982, like you said, is based on the year 2017 or 18, sorry, or 2019.
Okay.
And everybody still smokes, and there's still like little tiny TVs, and it's just it's really strange. There's a lot to get into it. That could probably be its own video on its own, but
and there's ads for like Atari.
Atari, yeah. And this one's based in 2049, and they, like you said, they held back a little bit, but it's visually stunning throughout the whole movie.
Very much.
And in the original Blade Runner, there are scenes that just kind of get drug out a little bit, scenes that are longer than they should have been, and there's scenes like that in this movie as well, but it doesn't feel as long because there's just visually everything's so much better. The graphics are incredible, and the score as well. And when I got into the movie, the first 5 minutes, I thought, okay, this has a Hans Zimmer feel to it as far as the score goes, because he did the Interstellar score, and he's the best musical guy out there as far as scores goes, in my opinion. And as soon as I got home, I looked, and Hans Zimmer did do the score of this movie.
Really?
It's
Good
just the subtle sounds that it wasn't music. It was just a loud like hum in certain parts, and it created emotion, and depending on what you were looking at, it was the best part of the movie. I thought is the sound.
They did a great job of that. It was maybe a bit overkill for me. I thought it was too loud on a couple of occasions,
really?
But the frequency was not ear-piercing high frequency. It was low, gravelly, rumbly, not unlike and I'll take our older viewers and listeners back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But when that flying saucer starts playing songs, and it's massive, and there was a bit of that kind of feel to it here too. Yeah, it was really good. There
wasn't any, I guess, new music in the movie. It was all orchestra, symphony, that type of music, and I thought that was great.
A little bit of Elvis.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of Elvis there, a little bit. But I just want to talk visually. It was a phenomenal movie.
It was spectacular. The large scenes, the cityscapes from high altitude, with the murkiness, and you could see just endless runs of streets and buildings, and it was so well done, and it did not, the best special effects in the world don't look like they're CGI, right?
Yeah.
So this looked real.
The perfect example of that was when I believe they had what's her name? Anna de Armas. She played Joy, the computer companion of Kay. So I'll just go to the cast real quick here. Ryan Gosling played Kay. Harrison Ford played Deckard. Jared Leto played Wallace. Batista played Sapper Morton. Anna de Armas whatever played Joy, and Mackenzie Davis played Marriott, and there's a few other names there too. Yeah. So when Mackenzie Davis's character Marriott and Anna de Armas' character Joy had that love scene, I guess, with Kay in his apartment, they were intermingling because she was a hologram and and Mariette was not a real human. I thought that was phenomenally well done.
It was so well done. It had elements of Ghost in it. Like you had people, one was a hologram and one was a real person. So, so they both had the experience of the scene. They were actually occupying the same space.
Yeah, they were kind of existing as one.
Yeah, it was an odd threesome.
Yeah, it was weird.
But it was very, very well done. And it actually brought, I thought, Mackenzie Davis's character into the movie at that point, because she'd only made a very casual appearance prior to that.
Yeah, because she kind of plays a hooker, I guess, in the movie.
She plays a professional companion.
Yeah.
And now we know Mackenzie Davis from a few things.
*Halt and Catch Fire*.
*Halt and Catch Fire*. She plays Cameron.
Yeah, she's great.
And she's fantastic. She was also on *The Martian*.
Oh, yes, she was,
She played the gal who, kind of got the mathematical code and kind of broke that. So she's not brand new. And, of course, *The Martian* was a Ridley Scott movie as well. You can see him kind of drawing those people.
Totally, yeah.
That he liked the best, and they're going to get recurring roles. This guy is so prolific, the stuff he does. I'm interrupting your character sketch there, but he's incredible, what he does. And the different things he does. It's not just science fiction and blockbusters.
Oh, no, he's incredibly talented.
He does *The Man in High Castle*. He did *The Good Wife*, just a regular political TV show.
Yeah.
He did that. Just amazing what he can do. And he has a great eye for young and emerging talent.
Yeah, absolutely. He's at the point now where he can produce what he wants, not what he can get his hands on. Like he does what he wants, and because he does what he wants, he does it well. He's a perfectionist, and it definitely shows in his work.
And if you look at his filmography in IMDb, which is a great source for movie information, you have to look a long way down the list before you find Blade Runner. It's in the theaters now, but there has to be 8 or 10 or maybe even a dozen things newer than that he's working on right now that haven't been released.
Busy man.
Oh.
It's crazy. But let's get right into the actual storyline of the movie. So Ryan Gosling's character Kay is a Blade Runner who hunts down what are they called?
Well, they're androids. They're out of control.
I can't remember the name now.
They're like a robot. They're a human form of artificial.
Yeah, they're like clones, basically.
Yeah.
So he hunts them down and eliminates the older versions of the clones because they are they to the eye they're human, but they have higher mental capacity. They're stronger. They're faster. They're everything that humans aren't.
They're superhuman and they're artificial, and you can't tell one from a regular human unless you do very specific, intensive testing.
Yeah, and the longer that they are alive, the more emotion they develop. And in the original movie, we see that Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, falls in love with Rachel, who is a clone in the... I wish I could remember the word that these things are, but it doesn't matter. But so, and it's kind of it's the same world. It's the same thing going on. There's these clones created by Jared Leto's character Wallace, because he owns this company that just creates them and stuff. And in the movie, there's a rumor or a secret, I guess, that one of the clones, Rachel from the previous movie, had a baby with Deckard.
Which was something they weren't supposed to be able to do.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be able to recreate. So in this movie, Ryan Gosling has to try and uncover that secret. Where's the baby? Then he has to try and find out if he's the baby.
Yeah, I think there's a mega spoiler there we want to be careful with, unless you want to go for it.
Well, I warned people at the beginning. And
that's true.
The movie played with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought that he was the kid pretty early in the movie when he was talking to Lieutenant Yossi, I think, or
Joshi.
Josie,
yeah. Joshi.
And I was convinced that he was the kid up until that point.
And I was too.
And even at the end, when we find out that he's not actually the kid, I thought that they were tricking him into thinking that he wasn't the kid, so he wouldn't do it based on emotion. He would do it based on logical thoughts. And then at the end, they were going to tell him that he was. But at that point, I had forgotten about the daughter,
right,
who was the creator of the dreams.
Yeah.
And so we see Kay, Ryan Gosling, go through the movie trying to uncover the secret, trying to figure out what's going on, who's the enemy, who's on his side. And at the beginning of the movie, there's potentially an enemy and people on his side, and then they switch, and then they kind of switch back. It's just it plays with your mind in a really a great way. Usually when I see movies and there's a lot of flip-flopping, it's frustrating. I found this to be pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it made sense. There were good guys and bad guys that did flip around a little bit, but they did it in sync with the rest of the movie. It made sense. It wasn't some, backstab. You saw it coming a bit ahead of time. And the character that played Lieutenant Joshi, that's Robin Wright. She plays Frank Underwood's wife in The House of Cards, Claire Underwood. So I've seen her many times before. She did a phenomenal job. And, she wears a white hat almost at the beginning, and then you find out that, there are a few people that are supposedly on the law enforcement side of things who are actually, they've been working for the company instead. It's really good.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was way better than I thought it was going to be. I knew I would like it just because I love sci-fi, and I already knew that I liked the world because we just watched the original movie. I liked where that world was and how it was constructed. I knew visually the world was going to be amazing. I didn't know that I would like the storyline as much as I did. Yeah. I'm really happy with this movie. What would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 8, and I think 8 for me is a pretty good mark. It's definitely better than a 7.
Yep.
But it's not the best movie I've ever seen, for sure.
No, it's not the best.
It was very good. I'd give it an 8, and I think it was about a 6.5 until the last hour.
Yeah.
All those things you said about the visual appeal and the sound, the music or instrumentals, whatever it was all good, and I was enjoying it up to that point. But I thought the story was just not launching for me.
There's so much time in between the original movie and the sequel that they kind of had to do a lot of character building all over again.
Yeah.
Because Harrison Ford isn't young Harrison Ford of 1982. You can't just start out with old Harrison Ford, and so you had to build new characters into the movie and eventually find Harrison Ford, who was the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, so. And the last, I'd say 45 minutes to an hour of the movie I really, really liked.
Yeah.
So on balance, I'd give it an 8.
There's definitely scenes that could have been shorter, but I probably wouldn't change anything. I'm excited to watch it again, to be honest. I don't know if I'd see it again in theaters, maybe, but as soon as it comes out, I would like to own that movie. That's a movie I'd own, for sure. That's kind of how I base my opinion on movies. If I want to own it when it comes to Blu-ray, then I know I like it, and I want to own it.
Cool.
So I liked it. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
So I have some questions here for you.
Alrighty.
Do you think that was the best sequel ever to any movie? Because you look at the original, because we just watched the original, and it wasn't good. Now that I'm sure it was good in the day, but if you watch it now, like we did, and then watch this one, it's above and beyond the original.
So I guess best sequel ever, like the best improvement over the original.
Right. Because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
There's an amazing original movie, and then they redo it, and it's crap.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would say that it's the best upgrade from the original to the now. It's not my favorite sequel just because other movies I've watched, I'm not a big fan of sequels to start with, but there's a few in the Star Trek series, for instance, that I really, really liked even better than the original movie. And I think I can't imagine something's going to top that. And this didn't top that, but it did top the original to a great degree. So, the original was, and, we're watching the original from 2017 with our own appreciation of we know what's possible now.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And you go back to 1982, and I was there in 1982 sitting in the theater watching this movie.
Yeah.
And at the time, I thought it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because I thought the cathode ray tube televisions and all that stuff, that was the cat's ass,
Yeah.
And now we look back and it's funny.
Oh, totally. And in 2049, when we look back on this video or this movie, we'll probably have the same opinion that there's some pretty laughable visual stuff there. So,
but what a great increase in technology in that 35-year span. It's amazing what the industry's done.
And even, like, we made fun of it a little bit, but the original movie even did have some pretty impressive visual, even now, looking back on it. Some parts were really well done visually in the special effects department. So no knock on the original videos.
Not a bit.
Or movie, sorry. It was incredible. Do you think there's going to be a third one?
I think it's setting up for that. The ending is a bit of a cliffhanger. You see Harrison Ford putting his hand up against the glass. I don't think at that point he knows the entire story of his daughter yet.
Right.
So I think there's more to be told there. Now, that said, Harrison Ford is, in his 70s by now, probably. So, not that you need the same actors to come back. We didn't see. It's funny. I saw Sean Young in the credits. She played Rachel in the original movie.
She did.
I saw her in the credits for this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe just because they used footage.
I believe because they used footage, and I think she did the voice for
Okay.
the Rachel that they brought back.
Because I was hoping
Yeah.
to see her. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably could find out what she looks like now just by going on the internet and looking her up, and I'm sure she looks great because she's a very, very lovely looking lady then, and I'm sure she is now. I wish they'd found but they couldn't because they killed her off. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for her to come back, but it would have been interesting to see them try some trick, to get her back. But
I feel like there will be a third one, but I fear that Harrison Ford will suffer the same fate he suffered in the recent Star Wars.
Yeah.
Spoiler, I guess, for Star Wars there. And suffered the same fate he did in Star Wars, where they kind of killed off his character. I think if they do make a third one, he'll pass the torch off to someone else to move on from there, and he will depart from that series. Because like you said, he's getting old. He's in his 70s, so
yeah.
they got to do something.
But it was very well done. I think there's so much to build on with that whole, we have basically the beginnings of what are going to be an uprising among this whole new race of people, these superhumans. Usually in a science fiction movie, the superhuman is what we're fighting against.
Yeah.
But you find yourself pulling for them because they were never given a chance to really live lives. They were bred for their strength to be slaves.
Yeah, they're just tools.
And the minute some of them got a little uppity and decided to make up their own decisions, then things got tense.
Yeah.
And, you're pulling for them because they seem to be sweet people that want to just have a normal life like everybody else.
Yeah, because they're emotionless in a way, but they've got a ton of emotion, even more so than humans at times.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got a lot to give, I think, to the world, and to hopefully the third movie. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if it's confirmed or if there's rumors, or I don't know anything.
I have no idea.
But I hope that they do it, and do it in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think that it has a real post-apocalyptic look to it. Like if you watched any recent like Mad Max type,
absolutely.
If you're a fan of the portrayal of civilization's decay, an urban decay, and it's troubling to watch, but it's very real.
Well, that stuff's interesting because people, it's literally a possibility, unfortunately, and people want to know what it could be like in the future. So.
Yeah, and when you see that massive garbage dump where you have these airborne garbage trucks of some sort flying overhead, and all of a sudden they open up and all this garbage lands in a pile, and then they fly away and go get another load. I mean, that's, hopefully not, but that's the kind of future some people envision us, being thrust into with our wasteful lives.
We watched the original movie and we noticed how dark it was and dreary and dank and wet.
Dank. It was dank, I tell you.
It always seemed to be night, I guess. Did you notice that as much in this video? And if you did it bother you?
It wasn't nearly as much. It was still dark and hard to see by times, and there was places that would have been better lit, but they weren't, and why not? Like there's obviously rooms with lots of electricity in them because there are devices operating, but there's no lights on. Why is that? But in other scenes, it was almost daylight. Like the sun never really came out, but it was almost daylight or at least dusk, and you saw some office scenes, where they're in a modern facility and the lights are all brightly lit. That, to me, just rescued the whole thing, because that's one thing I was really dreading about the movie today, was that it was going to be the same dreary, in the previous movie in '82, it was always pouring rain, and they're all going around with umbrellas everywhere, and it's just water everywhere, and it's just, you feel like, you feel drenched at the end of it all.
You do.
But this, you got a bit of rain, you got a bit of drippy stuff, because it's a very muggy, humid kind of place, but nowhere near as much of that. And I was watching for it, and I was really glad I saw more light.
Yeah, and there was dusty scenes and stuff.
Yeah,
and it was a good mix. And then when Kay went to go visit the daughter, I forget her name. She was in this digital forest, kind of looking at stuff. It was very bright, so that was a nice visual break to break up the scenes. I like that they did that and they implemented that scene.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had a question ready for you and I forgot it.
Oh no. While you're thinking of it, I just want to say I thought Ana de Armas, who played Joy, which was the virtual reality hologram girlfriend.
Yep.
I thought she was spectacular.
She was the best in the movie as far as acting goes.
Man, she was, so great in that scene, and just to think that in real life she has to act that not there.
Yeah.
Because she's really being presented as an image, and man, and she's just absolutely, you can't take your eyes off her. I mean, she's very compelling. She's gorgeous, and she played the perfect. There was the perfect mix of, she was a very vulnerable character because she exists only as long as that electronic thing keeps
Yeah.
her alive, and so that makes her extremely vulnerable. But then again, she has enough presence in the show and enough independence in the movie to, give advice and try to move the character in certain directions. And I won't. We don't need to say what happens to her, but thank God they can make more of her. Is all, that's all I can say.
Yeah, she did good. She did a good job. I think everyone in general did a pretty good job. I don't really have any big complaints about any of the acting in the movie.
I don't either. I'm not a big Jared Leto fan, and I didn't like the character he played so much as that Wallace guy, mainly because I don't know. I thought the world would have moved past that this time, and they wouldn't have a Wallace guy.
I really liked him. I thought he did great. He was very spooky without being spooky.
Well, he was spooky.
And
All right.
he was really calm, but he was so intimidating. Just his calmness was intimidating, and he was creepy looking. It was one of my favorite characters in the movie, actually, to be honest. But,
really?
Yeah.
Didn't do much for me. I thought that the Sylvia Hooks, she's the Dutch gal who played Love, the one who was in the final fight scene with Ryan Gosling's character. She was very good as well.
Oh yeah, she was great throughout the whole
good.
movie.
Yeah,
she's one of the main parts of the whole movie.
definitely. And she's a new to us, and she's acted in a lot of European movies before. She's not a kid, but obviously new to North America, and I think we'll see more of her. She was very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that kind of wraps up this
Can't think of your question?
No, I can't do it. I've been thinking about it for the past 5 minutes. I can't come up with it. It was something to do with the world, and I can't remember what the heck it was.
All right.
If I think about it, I'll ask it to you later, and then I'll include down the comments what the question was in your answer.
I thought the neatest thing in the movie, speaking of the world, was when they get to the alternate location, which we eventually find out is Las Vegas, and those massive statues, and to see what Las Vegas became, only 30 years after some serious destruction went on there. Having been to Las Vegas, you and I both, and how much of a town it is, and of course it's been in the news a lot lately for the wrong reason, but to see Vegas portrayed in such a gloomy way, but still have all those, I guess, reminders of the past glory of Las Vegas, the statues and Elvis and all that.
Yeah.
It was such a weird thing to throw into the movie, but it worked.
And even in the dialogue, because Harrison Ford and his character, he said, this is where people came to win and to lose, or you lose some, you win some, kind of in this town.
Yeah,
it was cool.
That was really well done.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
All right.
I can't think of the question, so we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone watching at home, and if you get the chance, I really hope you go see this movie. It's definitely worth a watch. It's one of those movies that you should watch in a theater. It's a theater movie, not a sitting at home in front of a TV movie.
And it's a thinking movie. Don't sit there and expect that they're going to do all your work for you. You have to do some work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun of it. That's what makes it enjoyable, because you don't get bored, because you're always trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So we appreciate you guys watching. If you have made it this far, that's great. Thank you for watching this far. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you like movie reviews, hit the subscribe button. If you like talking sports, hit the subscribe button, because we're talking lots of sports. And if you like hockey, and even if you don't like hockey, head on over to our main channel, Post to Post, where we post daily hockey content. We're always talking about hockey, specifically the NHL, but we do discuss other leagues and stuff from time to time. But if you could do that, that would be awesome. We'd love to see you over there as well. So thank you very much for listening or watching, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you in the next movie review. Adios.